This is a traditional Indian temple in the heart of a Chinatown in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. Kuala Lumpur is a melting pot of cultures due to its local Indian, Chinese, and Malay population. But they have one thing in common. The spice levels here are high, and these folks take their food very seriously. Kuala Lumpur is a modern Asian capital city with a world-famous skyline, affordable luxury hotels, good public transport, and spicy, delicious food. So, how was the vegan food in this modern Asian capital? Let's find out. We'll also show you where to stay and how to get around. So stick till the end.
We had heard a lot of good things about the city planning and design in KL. So we were really surprised by this line at immigration. It took us more than 2 hours to slowly snake to the front of it. But the ride to the hotel was smooth. And the road infrastructure felt very impressive. The driver told us that the immigration line has been an issue since a recent procedural change. After checking in and freshening up, we made our way to Woodlands, a vegetarian joint serving Indian food. We were tired and the menu was huge. So we just got the epic looking vegan thali, which had about 14 different elements. Most things were really tasty, especially the dals, this mock meat dish, and the chutneys and sambals. The spice was full on India level. But some of the items were cold and the parathas were way too thick. Overall, this thali meal was good, but not great. And just check out this view from our room. The room was really nice. The hotel is centrally located in Bukit Bintang and has loads of other amenities like this insane terrace pool. You get all of this for under $40 a night, which is ridiculous value. Next morning, we hadn't sorted out our bike yet, so we decided to order in from Nadia Vege Cafe. We got the nasi lemak and the soy rendang was delicious. The sambal was intense with a fishy smell. The rice was aromatic, the tofu was soft, and you top it with peanuts and anchovies. This is the national dish of Malaysia, and this particular one is a favorite amongst locals. As usual, the spice level was high, but every element was full of flavor. We also got the idlis with sambar and chutney, and it was really good, just as good as what we get back home.
We found it really difficult to rent a scooter in KL. There were only 2 shops and the one close by had only one automatic scooter left, going for around $25 a day. The best part about traveling in Asian cities is that you can rent a bike for as less as $6 a day with almost no effort. Most of the time it gets delivered to your doorstep. Surprised by the high per day fares, and after having to wait for more than an hour, we decided to leave and give walking, grab taxi, and the city's public transport a chance.
For lunch, we walked to Minf Houze Vegan Cafe, a highly rated spot. As noted by most reviewers, you enter through a mall, and the mall isn't the fanciest, but it's quite easy to find the restaurant if you follow the signs. Vidhi's iced caramel latte was ridiculously good. It felt like liquid ice cream. My melon and lychee smoothie was not good. It felt very synthetic and I'm not sure it had any real fruits. The Vietnamese spring rolls were not the Vietnamese spring rolls we were expecting. They had a sweet bean filling. It was nice, but the default spring rolls in Vietnam were always savory and not sweet. We then got the curry ramen. The spice level is high by default, but it didn't have much of the coconut milk to balance it out. Overall, it was a hit and miss sort of meal. When it rains in KL, it is super intense. There was a thunderstorm in the evening, so we decided to order in. Because of the rains, Grab stops delivering from most of the vegan restaurants. So we ordered from Namaste India, an omnivore joint close by. We got the samosas, the vada pav, and an Indo-Chinese veg hakka noodles. Everything was delicious. It looked, smelled, and tasted exactly like the stuff from a restaurant back home. You really couldn't tell the difference. We enjoyed this comforting meal after a so-so day. Next morning, we walked to the popular KL Forest Eco Park, an incredible forest-like reserve right in the heart of the city. But we walked to the wrong one. So if you are using Google Maps, don't go here, but go here instead. Once we found it, this place is really quite something. Walking the canopy trail was so cool and so unique. But the entrance fee was 40 ringgit per person, and I don't ever remember paying to access a city park before. So I'm not sure I'd go back. For breakfast, we headed to Saravanaa Bhavan. We travel a lot, but this was our first visit to a Saravanaa Bhavan. They have outlets all over the world and it's a source of comfort food for millions of Indians. And as a bonus, the air conditioning here is phenomenal. The masala dosa is excellent. We especially like this dal and pudina chutney. It's not something you usually get back home. The onion and tomato uttapam was super hot, crispy, and just such a satisfying breakfast item. And finally, we got an idli vada plate to complete this excellent meal at this chilled restaurant. For lunch, we ordered in from SALA. The mushroom asada burrito was delicious. The mushrooms were genuinely meatier than meat and had soaked in all the flavor. I loved it. And Vidhi loved these beautiful barbecue jackfruit tacos. The chocolate brownie was too dense and greasy. It had almost no cake-like quality about it. For dinner, we walked to Kusa. This was our first time at a 100% vegan Japanese restaurant. So we were super excited. And just look at this sampler plate. We loved the one with the pork floss and the one with the mango and mock meat. The inari was something new for us. It featured sushi rice in this incredible tofu skin enclosure. We tried a different variant of the inari as well, which came loaded with some mayo and topped with some curry powder. A Japanese pani puri bursting with flavor. This interesting looking tempura hand roll was just okay. The portions are tiny, but everything is very reasonably priced for such a fine dining experience. These two big pieces of inari cost just 8 ringgit. So we got greedy and ordered the Kusa tempeh and the spongy tofu. Both dishes were excellent. For the mains, we got a bowl of congee and their signature spicy ramen. You can choose your spice level from a scale of 0 to 5. A sophisticated reviewer had summarized it as, if it goes in spicy, it's going to come out spicy. So we played safe and got the 1. And it was still too spicy for us. The congee was exactly what I was looking for. There's a version of this dish in every Asian culture. In India, we call it khichdi, and it's available in countless variations across the country. It was warm and comforting and felt oddly nostalgic, even though it's the first time we've ever had it. The creme brulee cheesecake was phenomenal. It was the first time I'm having a baked version of the cheesecake, and it had developed a deep, savory, cheesy quality that we both loved. Overall, we loved our meal here, especially the starters and the dessert. We started day 4 with a quick breakfast at Woodlands. The idlis were fresh and soft, the rava dosa batter was on point, but the potato filling was slightly undersalted. But the chutneys were very tasty, and we enjoyed this meal much more than our first meal here. And we'd recommend ordering a la carte instead of getting the thali. We were then off for a walking tour of the city. We love doing these tours. They're a great introduction to the city and a great way to meet fellow travelers from across the world. Hakim, our guide, had a wonderful energy and excitement about him. He bought us a slice of durian fruit that we shared with the group. It was really custardy with an intense sweet taste. It does have a strong smell, but I tried to avoid smelling it. For lunch, we went to the highly rated Hungry Tapir. Located in the vibrant Chinatown, this place has a distinct vibe. The Chinatown felt so interesting to us. We found this traditional South Indian temple just across the street from a Chinese one. This is what makes Malaysia really special. It's a melting pot of cultures and communities that have chosen to coexist peacefully. It feels like a vision from the future, and you can only hope that all countries can follow their example and learn to love and respect each other based on our shared humanity. We started with the iconic roti canai, a flatbread that ranks as the very best in the world on some lists. It was served with a dal and a tempeh sambal. Both of the sides were delicious. The bread was good, but not great. It's similar to a layered flaky Malabar parota, but the layers hadn't developed the way they should have. We then got the much loved mushroom satay. They use hedgehog mushrooms which have an incredible texture. They were perfectly seasoned and the peanut sauce was delicious. It came with some onions, cucumbers and rice cakes. The mushrooms did soak in quite a bit of the oil, so it was a super indulgent dish, But boy, was it delicious. We enjoyed our meal here. For dinner, we decided to order in from SALA. We got the falafel wrap, a jackfruit taco, and a spicy tofu taco. Both the tacos were great. The falafels were tasty, but the wrap was quite dry. Overall, another good meal from SALA. On our final day, we started our morning here, at the KL Tower. The elevator up took just over a minute, and the view once you get there is incredible. We got brunch at La Gula, a beautiful cafe located at the Four Seasons. This cafe is actually run by the folks at the Hungry Tapir, so we were really excited. This spot is so vibrant, with its beautiful brickwork, concrete benches, rattan chairs, double height volume with step seating, and this absolutely gorgeous display of baked goods. The mushroom truffle was delicious. The crust was so flaky, the truffle cream was rich and deep, and it felt like we were transported to Europe. Their croissant sandwich is loaded with a tofu scramble, rocket leaves, and a homemade pastrami. It was difficult to handle, and things did get messy, but it was worth it. And for the mains, we got the cauliflower steak. It was well seasoned and fork tender. You could feel how well it had been basted, and parts of it had been grilled to a lovely dark brown. It was served with their cream cheese, a wonderful combination. Viri absolutely loved this one. I really liked it as well, but I felt the cauliflower had been slightly overcooked. We then packed a slice of banana bread, a sausage roll, and another mushroom tart for our flight later that day. We loved our meal here. We had a supper from Namaste India before we left for the airport. We got the samosas, a bhindi masala, and tawa rotis. As we've noted, the Indian food here is excellent. Let's take a moment to explore how KL is structured, where we stayed, and how we got around. We were a bit unprepared for this part, and we think our experience could help you out if you're planning a trip here. We stayed at the Ceylon Suite, located in the heart of Bukit Bintang. Bukit Bintang, Merdeka Square, and the KLCC Park areas are known as the Golden Triangle. If you're here on a short stay, you'll be buzzing around these areas to get to where you're going. And most tourists live somewhere here. In terms of the sites, the KLCC Park is adjacent to the iconic Petronas Towers. Close by are the Minf Vegan House and the Dharma Realm Monastery Kitchen. The Merdeka Square area has the Central Market and Chinatown close by. You'll find the Hungry Tapir and Lagula here. There's a lane of Indian eateries in this area as well, so you'll find Saravanaa Bhavan and Woodlands here. Kusa Vegan is in the Changkat area of Bukit Bintang, which is popular because of its vibrant cafes and nightlife. Bukit Bintang also has the Berjaya Times Square Mall, which has SALA, and the famous Jalan Alor street food market is nearby. You'll also find the KL Tower and Bukit Nana's Eco Park here. So how do you get from one place to the other? You have three options. We'll start with Grab. The wait time for a Grab can easily become 15 to 20 minutes. And the traffic in the Golden Triangle can be insane. It could easily take another 15-20 minutes just to cover a couple of kilometers. But the prices are reasonable and the pickup and drop-offs are usually very smooth. Walking became our favorite option in KL. The roads had wide footpaths which were shaded by the massive trees of the tall buildings. We also carried an umbrella for sunshade. This is the first time we've ever done it. We got the idea after watching a lot of locals doing this. The bus and LRT are great options for slightly longer distance travel, because you could easily spend 8 to 10 minutes just entering and exiting the huge LRT stations. Some of the buses allowed us to buy tickets directly by credit card, but the ones operated by Rapid KL required some sort of smart card. The city and culture is so interesting, and the diverse local population is so inspiring. But it did take us some time to figure out how things are laid out and how to get to places. And that's left us with a feeling of not having properly explored the city. It felt like by the time we got a hang of it, it was time to leave. If we look at a vegan map of KL, we barely scratched the surface. Because of how spread out KL is, we couldn't visit so many areas and so many different restaurants. Overall, the food was really good, and there's a wide range of options, even if you are restricted to the Golden Triangle area. So, if you're planning a trip to KL, it's time to get really excited. We plan to make a couple of these videos every month, So if you enjoyed it, please consider subscribing.